what you can do is you can get them to do dances with their tables. So
Yep.
you can say, okay, into groups, back. And you can practice that maybe.
And we talked about that today. Yep.
Yeah.
Is,
In terms of what you were setting up for
threes.
the presentation style today, having those kinds of rows makes sense. When you're doing other kind of work, you maybe need to rethink about how that works. Okay. So, okay, great. What's something that you would consider changing for next time?
For that, probably to make it more student-centered learning. Actually breaking them up in maybe two groups and discussing it with each other, and then I'm sorry.
When?
I'm sorry.
When?
Oh,
when did you do that in the lesson?
Instead of me up there asking them all the questions, maybe, okay, going to get in two groups and discuss with each other what things the teachers are probably looking for when you give a presentation. And go ahead and discuss in your groups.
Sweet. Good job.
To go ahead and, and share as a class once you come up with at least, 10 different things that
Excellent.
you might be looking for.
Well done. That was my key learning piece for you today, so I'm glad that you noticed that. And appreciate that. Okay, cool. Anything else in particular?
Besides that, no.
Okay.
No.
For me, my key sort of really nice things that I like to see was you have a really good rapport with students. It's nice and relaxed. Just be aware sometimes that, bring it back again, we've talked about that, but in general, they're comfortable with you, they know you, you had good presence up there today, it was relaxed, but you were leading them, yeah? So rather than it be relaxed and it being all mishap, okay? So, and the other thing is that, okay, the tech issue happened, but you were unflustered with it, you gave them a little question to think about something while that tech issue was being resolved, so that's great, yeah? We know we're going to have tech issues here. It's going to happen. It's a lot easier than it used to be, but to the point where, I used to have to plan a completely non-tech related contingency plan for all of my lessons.
Oh, wow.
Or just make sure that I did paper-based stuff. Because it was in the time where we were transitioning over before we had Chromebooks.
Okay.
So, we sometimes had tech, sometimes didn't. And it was just, yes, it was, yeah. It was tough.
Something.
Okay, and the other thing that I really loved was how you managed Quit presenting. So Quit is a volunteer, and for the record, we know Quit is a special needs student. And for him, you hit it right on there. We could see before when White was presenting, constantly looking back at the board. And the kids didn't necessarily bring that up when they were giving their feedback. And then Quit naturally had his Chromebook, and then you just gave kudos to him. It was like, yes, sweet. So that was fantastic. That yeah, perfect. Well done. You really allowed him to take the credit for something that, either you guys have practiced already, but the point is he made that point and it was there. It's not something that you necessarily deliberately, explicitly set up. And it's something that, it's like, hey, this is something that he does and he did it really well. So that's
why I've been very proud of him for this unit, especially with the previous ones missing a lot. And then he's been taking a lot of initiative on this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's been really nice to see.
Cool. Alrighty. Let's go back to this one main area that I'm thinking about, and then we'll look at the actual standards.
Okay.
So you mentioned about maximizing student interaction a little bit more. Okay. During that presentation time, and then during the task. So actually through your video, through the presentations, and then that feedback on the criteria, you led it a lot.
Okay.
And then you're saying there's ways that you can maximize student interaction. Reflecting back on that, how?
Like make it more student and less me? Let's see. This is me actually starting it off with a lesson plan. The lesson plan was just more, I can start there with it.
Okay,
Because
Start at the beginning. You start at the planning.
Uh-huh.
And what I've put here in terms of my things to work on is planning. You plan in terms of learning outcomes, okay, rather than the tasks. It's not just what the students are doing, it's how they are doing it. Yes? So, for example, with the video at the beginning, they're watching this video, but why are they watching the video? At the end of the video, what did you ask them? What were the 4 things?
Oh, yeah. What 4 things
Yeah.
are we looking for, Ms. Joy and I are looking for that we want you guys to go ahead and
Why ask that at the end?
present? I'm sorry?
Why do you ask that at the end?
It's almost like concept checking to see.
Okay, where should you ask that question?
Probably at the beginning, actually, at the
Because
beginning. That way they'll know what to look for and pay
always
attention
give
for.
people a purpose for doing
Ah,
something
yeah.
and
Okay.
a focus for doing something. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Some of those visuals were pretty good, and you got all of the key things that they were saying there in some of the visuals, but they were speaking pretty fast. The
Yeah.
volume was a little bit of issue in the beginning.
Mm.
ELLs, yeah? And
Yeah.
other people, it's like, okay, I'm just listening, I'm going to take in whatever. If you allow for focus on something in particular, you draw people's attention. So when you're watching this natural history thing about, I don't know, the Congo, pay attention to the kinds of fish that are being shown. And can you see how you then filter things? Stuff that's unimportant to stuff that is important, and you focus on that. Always give purpose to doing
Okay.
a task. Alright, so that's how you set that up. So again, when we go back to what I used to use with ELLs, it's like I showed you those frameworks, the PPU and the PDP. You can incorporate that in. That is a listening exercise effectively. Yeah? It's a watching and listening exercise, but you give them that purpose for listening and watching. And then how do you want them to do that? Do you want them just to remember it? Do you want them to note it down? And how are they going to do that afterwards? Are you just going to stop it and then elicit it? Or are they going to feed back to their partner about what they found? So,
Okay.
by feedback before you elicit, what are the benefits of that?
No, they'll retain it, or they'll actually have a practice go at it.
Okay,
and,
which is important for what kind of people?
yeah, especially the ELL.
Or,
Yeah. Actually, anyone that's probably not paying attention, they get taught by their
okay,
own
Or-
classmate.
people who are naturally reticent.
Naturally, what?
Reticent, people who don't want to talk much in class.
Oh,
Gives them
yeah.
a chance to talk to people around them and show what they know.
Okay.
To share that information. So rather than having 2 people talking at a time, teacher and you, you're going to have everybody talking and giving feedback to each other.
Okay.
Yeah? Make the students do the work rather than you, and then the most vocal students in the class. Again, if you look through my notes, I've noted all of the students that give you feedback.
It's the same ones
kids.
over and over again. That's why I tried to call it Cece. And
Yeah.
I called her on Toy before you came
Yeah.
in too.
So look through the PDP lesson framework that I've given you.
Okay.
It always shows that there's feedback before you elicit the answers, and that allows for people to build confidence, share, and know that they've got the right answers, but also gives you that important communication time.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's structured, it maximizes student interaction time, but you are still leading what's happening. Yeah? So that's very important. Again, when you're doing that criteria stuff, think about how you want to present it and how you want the students to be noting that down and then giving feedback.
Okay.
Yeah? So
Okay.
once again, how do you maximize that information that's being shared, and how do you want to manage how that's getting back to the student? Obviously bearing in mind time sometimes, yeah? I'm mindful of that. So that would be my big thing for you today. So have a look through my notes and see
Okay.
what that was. But generally good flow. I like you had volunteers up there. Yeah, it's looking good for the presentations. Saw some good
Yeah.
citations at the end, crit citations. Looking very good at the end.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, let's look at the standards.
Okay.
So we're looking at content knowledge and then project-based learning.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do 5 first,
Okay.
just because we're on that in general. Oh, application of content. Yes. Standard 5, application of content. And standard 4 is knowledge. Oh no, let's do content knowledge first. We'll do that. Content knowledge. Okay. Okay, guiding question. How does the teacher understand subject area concepts and tools of inquiry, or inquiry, depending on how you view it, to make the content accessible and attainable to students? So within what we've been observing, or I've been observing with you over the past few weeks, it's really about we're looking at researching, citations and presentations, correct? Okay. So representations and explications. Okay. Multiple representations and explanations, or limited number of representations and explanations? How would you feel on that one? Do you want to see?
Yeah. I would do 3 for this one. Because I mean the example used in my PowerPoint and giving them some kind of to compare something to compare what we're expecting and what we want from them, and using that as a resource and tool for them.
Yep, I agree. I think you showed multiple ways of taking sources and then using them and then being able to show them. So that's great. Okay. Building on students' prior knowledge. How have you done that?
Yes, 3 with that one too, because of what they've gone through so far this year, and even piggybacking off of many of the things that they did at the end of the year last year, too, in grade 5. That actually helps me out. I'm lucky enough that I was here for that to know what they should know.
Yep, and I can see that through that packet you're incrementally planning to build on knowledge and bring that forward with them, starting with one source and then going to multiple sources. So that's good. Okay, instructional resources. Selection of instructional resources, or uses instructional resources that are appropriate for student learning. Candidate selection is limited to students' understanding of the content. Candidate uses instructional resources that are appropriate for student learning.
So get the difference between those two.
Well, one is
one's appropriate, one's limited.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would say 2.
Why?
2. Because I know where I'll provide something, but it might limit the ELL students. And I'll try to, what is it? I'll try to, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll try to basically.
You need to basically differentiate further.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And I put that comment in there.
Support. How I should help support that's what I was looking for. The ELLs better with that type of stuff. Especially the information I give to them. Because they'll get it, but and even if I'm saying it and giving instruction in class.
Yeah. Okay. So think about differentiating further for ELLs and students' educational needs. So that'd be fine. Okay. Students' misconceptions. That's always a good one. Candidate. Basically, how do you understand and then regulate student misconceptions? I think you're fine in dealing with that.
Especially just making sure, always asking questions.
And they have no problems asking. And we've talked about that earlier in another week where you're saying, hey, hang on, I'll get back to you if you weren't sure as well when they're trying to clarify. Yeah, okay. Technology for instruction, use of digital tools. Yeah. Fine. Yep. So that's integrated.
Good thing we have Chromebooks. Yay! Lucky.
Instruction. And you don't have to be a whiz at it. You know, the fact is that you're using it regularly, you're using those basic functions, you know how to manipulate it and do it. You don't have to add like all these wills and bests, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And then
And that's why I try to encourage them to not only use PowerPoint or slides, but that's why I liked how Rachel. Were you there for Rachel's presentation? Oh no, you just left. She actually.
I left.
Yeah,
yes.
she created a website, and it actually was perfect because it made it more interactive for the audience. So.
Oh, I'm jumping. What am I jumping to?
Oh, is it papers backwards? Oh no, it's right there.
Student misconception, instructional resources, student misconceptions.
Oh no, sorry.
Technology for instruction, uses technology, yeah, that's fine. Actually, I didn't want to give you I'm going to give you 3 for now, that's fine. Academic language.
Room for improvement. Academic language.
Candidate introduces academic as appropriate in teaching the content area and provides opportunities. Introduces academic language but misses many opportunities for students to practice it.
Yeah.
Can we say it's there? Building.
Yeah. Yep.
Mentioned. Okay, good. Alright, so that's good. So overall for that one, I give you 3. Yeah. So that's gone up from when we did our pre-assessment. Okay. Standard 5 then. Let's go back. Let's go this one is sorry. Project-based learning. So I think you do develop and implement interdisciplinary learning when you're talking about going across from your literacy to your UOI. Okay. Okay, so I'll do that 3. Application to real world problems.
Wait.
Hello.
This is from the school bulletin.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Application to real world problems.
Hey, world wars.
Real world war. Okay. How much are you actually helping about that content about World War versus the process of researching and doing it? So you can see how I'm doing those 2 things.
Like making the connection? Yeah.
I'm also thinking about, not just the content, but, why would they be doing this?
Rachel made it perfectly when she said the effects of it. Are we dealing with some of the effects of war to this day? Yeah. I jumped on that for a little bit earlier in the lesson before you came. About how the effect of wars using Austria-Hungary at the end of World War II, how that country fell apart and it created a Czech Republic and things like that. So, and same with the Cold War, at the end of the Cold War and Kurt's War, Soviet Union, Afghanistan, how the Soviet Union fell apart. So how war can actually have many different outcomes depending on the result of the war and playing the importance of, that's how we need to know the cause and effect of war.
Okay. So I would encourage you to try and make that a little bit more explicit. So whereas you're very focused on that process of doing it, and it just so happens that is the content, I'm wondering if there's ways that we can build in how you bring students to make and voice clearer connections between the past and the present, either in terms of what we've learned and how we're different now, or parallels that they're seeing now in different situations, or connections they're making from looking at conflict around all of those things. So that's kind of more like those big ideas behind it.
Okay, big ideas.
Rather than just numbers and figures. Yeah. So I think 2, but I think that can get to the 3, no problem. Am I beeping and doing stuff all over the place, or are you?
I'm sorry?
Was that you beeping? Okay. Use of digital tools. candidate effectively facilitates students' use of digital tools and resources to help students learn correct? Yeah, 3. Yeah. Students. Only thing to be wary is when you're giving those instructions. So you're saying about having Chromebooks closed. In that video, there were at least 4 kids with Chromebooks open.
Oh.
And some of them watching stuff that had nothing to do with what you were doing.
I'm going to start twitching.
Do you want me to name names?
Yes,
Or
please.
do you know who that would be already?
No, Allison from Alice, so it wasn't her. Angela's not here. Gina, don't say it was Gina.
No.
Okay.
Rachel.